With great power comes great responsibility. Electrical distribution systems are the third leading cause of home structure fires. Fires involving electrical failures and malfunctions accounted for the highest share of civilian deaths and direct property damage. Knowledge can be powerful when it comes to power. Getting to know your electrical system and all its parts can help you remain safe, both by preventing an issue and by knowing how to address an issue if it happens. Let's start by getting to know where your power comes into your house. Your service lines or service drops bring power from overhead poles or underground lines from your utility box in your yard and bring the power into your house. In the case of overhead wires, these service lines connect to and flow through a power meter on their way into your service panel. Of course, you have to pay for all that electricity traveling throughout your house. The electric company reads your meter and charges you based on consumption and the cost to deliver the electricity to your home. Your meter is usually found outside your home and typically looks like a glass bulb with a mechanical or digital gauge inside of it. This meter records the amount of energy consumed by all electrical appliances, heating, and lighting in your home. This electricity is measured in kilowatt hours. Your electrical service panel has many names: the breaker box, the service panel, and the main panel. This box's primary feature is to step down and distribute the power from your main feed into the different circuits, each with its own circuit breaker, to feed different areas of your home. The service panel is the heart of your electrical system. The service panel is usually gray and mounted flush to a wall. You can typically find it in the basement, garage, utility closet, or even the laundry room or hall closet. It is important to know exactly where they are, and you should always make sure you have unobstructed access to it when you need it. Always have a flashlight near your service panel. If the power goes out, you'll be able to see the panel to get power back on. Let's take a look at the circuit breakers inside the service panel. A circuit breaker is ultimately a switch, one which is triggered when too much electricity is flowing through or if there's an imbalance in the circuit. They can save your life in the blink of an eye. When too much current goes through, the switch automatically breaks the circuit. Picture turning off a light. When a circuit is broken, no more electricity flows to the circuit or the devices on the circuit, so that the malfunctioning device or outlet will no longer receive power, which could injure someone or create a fire. It's very important to note that when a breaker trips, it does so for a reason. Many people mistakenly believe that the power goes off because of a faulty circuit breaker, when most often, it is actually the result of a malfunction of an electrical device. Each breaker should be clearly labeled to tell you which rooms or areas the breaker feeds. In the event of loss of power to a circuit, the first temptation is usually to turn the power right back on at the circuit breaker. However, you should first determine if there was a problem so that you're not sending electricity back to a circuit which may have an issue or a malfunctioning appliance or fixture downstream. When you determine the source of the issue, to reset your breaker, locate the circuit breaker that has been tripped. Its switch will be pointed away from the center, or there may be a red or orange indicator. To reset, you'll need to turn it all the way off and then all the way back on. This should resolve the problem and restore power to the items in the circuit. If you try this and it trips again, you may have a short in the circuit or may have a device which is malfunctioning. It's best to call a licensed electrician if this happens. If you don't see switches in your box but rather round, multicolored knobs, then you have a fuse box. Rather than switching off, fuses have filaments that melt when there's a voltage overload. Then the power cuts off and you have to replace the fuse. Fuses have been saving lives since the mid-1800s, yet they began to be phased out around the 1950s to make way for circuit breakers. Most homes today have a service panel with circuit breakers rather than a fuse box, as they're safer and more compatible with modern electronic devices. Circuit breakers also make life easier, as you can simply switch a circuit back on, whereas a fuse needs to be replaced. Additionally, most insurance companies will not insure a home with a fuse box, so if you find yourself with one, consider updating as soon as possible. Also, please note, a system service upgrade will always need to be performed by a licensed electrician. If the service panel is the heart of the electrical system, you can think of the wires as the arteries and veins. To keep up with increasing demands and safety requirements, wires have been improved over the years, adding insulation and a ground wire. Today's modern electrical wiring provides a much safer means of distributing power throughout the house.